So if you're considering coming to the field at our home here in Maui, then I want to talk to you about the optional hike on Friday. So the main event of the field is Monday to Thursday. Okay, that's 4 days of deep coaching in our living room. And that's a journey that would say, we use the word adventure as a metaphor for that, right? And then on Friday is a chance to take that metaphor into the literal and going on a literal journey, a hike. Now, this hike into Haleakalā Crater is one of the most beautiful hikes in the world. It's absolutely stunning. And it's really different, right? Because like being inside the crater of a volcano is like a very different landscape. It's not the landscape that you normally see. So that's one reason that I had the idea. But then when I started thinking about like this hike in particular, I thought, wow, this really is a very powerful literalization of the journey that we go on in the adventure coaching intensive. Because here's how it typically goes at a high level. We show up, we get together, and we create some kind of connection around the vision we have for our life. Like, what would we love? Some grandiose perspective, who we want to be in the world, the dream life that we'd like to have. And the real point of doing that is just to instigate fear, just to bring us into a context in which we can confront our limitations. And then we start diving into what is in the way of us having that life, living that life, doing those things, creating those results. And we descend into the darkness of our own limitations. And, you know, it's kind of funny, not funny, that often we're ending the first day and everybody kind of feeling like I mean, it lives in the container of a knowing that like this is part of this journey and it's gonna get better from here, but we have to go here in order to get free. And that's an important point, actually. I was just thinking about this earlier, that like 80% of getting free is just facing this stuff, just looking at it. Because once we see it, it's like once it's out on the table, when it's out in front of us, once it's in our awareness, observation is a powerful force of liberation, right? And in fact, a lot of spiritual practices, a lot of meditative practices are literally just the practice of witnessing. You witness what occurs in your mind, you witness the tension in your body, and through that witnessing, it dissolves. And when it comes to inquiry, or when it comes to bringing into awareness how you're living the way that you're living, that is limiting you, the idea you have about who you are, the ideas you have about the world, whatever it is, whether it's witnessing a feeling, witnessing a worldview, witnessing a construct of identity, witnessing a pattern that you have, the light of awareness annihilates those patterns, annihilates those limitations. Of course, we also present and give you tools that can help you, once that stuff is in your awareness, to create liberation even more effectively, more quickly. Yes, we teach that, we utilize that, I demonstrate it, teach you how to do it. But the witnessing itself is a liberating force. Now, so anyway, back to the actual literal version of the journey. I hear you, kitty. I don't know if you can hear my cat meowing. She wants some food. I will feed you shortly. Here, there she is. Do you want to see her? I hear you. I see you. That's Lulu and Bella. So the idea of hiking down first as a challenging hike is kind of unique. Like, wait, why is it hard if I'm hiking down? Well, the hike down is called sliding sands. The sand is called that because it slides. And so it's loose footing all the way down. It's not super steep, so it's not like dangerous, but you know, it's not like walking on normal ground anyway. So it's a little bit more challenging. You got to pay attention to where you're walking. But the other reason it's challenging is because it's at 10,000 feet. So if you're like me and I'm only living at 2,000 feet, most people live closer to sea level. You don't have enough red blood cells to make a hike like that easy. If you live in Colorado or something, sure, maybe it don't be very hard for you. So we descend, and if you go too fast, you run out of breath. So you got to pace yourself. And then you're in this valley inside the center of the crater, like this like lava field, which is a very different landscape. And that's like when you go into the unknown, when you go start descending into the parts of yourself, the way you see the world, you can feel like out of sorts. Like, this isn't where I'm comfortable being. This is a different kind of place. And that's what it feels like. And this is a literal version of that. And then in the center of the lava field, there's a lava tube. Now, this is an optional thing within the optional thing. You don't need to go in the lava tube. I think it's actually, I don't know if there was a sign there last time or not. Sometimes there's a sign saying it's closed. Sometimes there's not a sign saying that. But in any case, it's this huge tube, I would say 3 stories high inside. It's a cave you go into, and it's the darkest place I've ever been in my life. There's no light at all. And so the only way you can make yourself through find your way through is if you bring a flashlight. But there's this huge lava tube that you can go through. And so basically you've gone into the crater of a volcano, and then you've descended even more now into a cave, into the heart of a volcano, this cave where magma used to flow through. And imagine the amount of magma that was flowing through this thing when you've got a round tube that you're in, made of stone all around, but it used to have, and it's 3 stories high, and it used to have magma flowing through it, and you're walking through the heart of that thing. And so for me, going into that the first time was scary. It was a cave that I feared to enter, not as a metaphor, literally. And I did it anyway, and I overcame stuff that I had to overcome to do that, and I was nervous being in it. I was nervous throughout, and the whole time I was searching for the light at the end of the tunnel, and then I found it, and I came out the other side, and it was a spiritual experience. And so for me, this hike, taking people on this hike, is an opportunity to bring into the literal what we just did for 4 days metaphorically. It's challenging, it's intimidating, it's beautiful. And then you come out of this hike, and then you come out of this lava tube, and at the end of the hike, you've got this thing called switchbacks. I don't know if you've ever seen Lord of the Rings. I think it's The Hobbit, actually. It's The Hobbit, where they're walking towards Mordor, and they're walking along this like little walkway on the edge of a steep cliff. It's like a cliff up, cliff down, and there's just a little walkway. It's kind of like that. Switchbacks. They're cut in like stone into the side of this. I guess you could call it a mountain, but the exit from the crater. It's very steep, but it's not dangerous because it's probably like almost as wide as like you could almost drive a car on it. It's not like you're gonna fall off the edge, but it is back and forth, back and forth, back and forth all the way up. And that's the place where you definitely have to go slow, because if you don't pace yourself, you will lose your breath. And it's a long climb. It's a switchbacks all the way up over 1,000 feet. So it's you need to be in shape to do it. You don't have to be like a professional athlete or something, but you got to be in shape. And I think it's interesting that you have to climb your way out after that descent, because when you descend in a conversation like you do here into that challenging place, it can be very overwhelming emotionally. And how do you get out of that? Well, you got to do the work of liberation to climb yourself out, and you connect with your deeper truth of who you are, and you presence that over and over again, and you practice. And so that's one of the things that we'll be doing here in the living room, is helping you to understand that how when you face these fears and face these limitations, and it does help you feel maybe down or scared or less empowered, how do you climb your way back out of that? And how do you hang on to the boon of the insight and wisdom that you gained in that cave? You know, the light that you discovered. How do you hold on to that as you climb your way back out into your normal and ordinary life? How do you bring that with you? And so that's something that we'll be teaching here, and that's something you'll have the literal experience of if you do join us for the hike, which I encourage you to do. You still got 2 months to get in shape, by the way. So if you choose today that you want to do it, and you make the commitment and buy your ticket, not just for the event, but for the hike too, then you could do what Heather did. She bought a mask, which is an oxygen deprivation mask, so that when you hike or walk around your city, it feels like you're at high altitude, and you'll start producing more red blood cells in your body. There's also some different herbs and supplements you can take to help that along. So still doable for anybody, basically. But in any case, if you're at the threshold looking across it, wondering if you are going to commit or not, stop wondering and start making a decision. I promise you, the decision to commit to something you want to do will only give to you and your life. I love you. Thank you for listening. I'll see you soon. Bye for now.